This is A Who All Gonna Be Their podcast, a place where you get to be an exclusive member of our very entertaining group chat. Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to A Who All Gonna Be Their podcast, the place where you get to be an exclusive member of our very entertaining group chat. We are here. It's me, Kiki, Tracy J, and Eric here with a special episode. I know last week, child, we were on the podcast and we said, "Oh, we're done with Big Brother Canada 10. It's time for us to move on to Big Brother 24." But we actually have a special guest who is going to be here today. And I'm going to pass the mic to Tracy to get us started and to introduce our special guest.
Y'all, we have a very special guest for y'all today. We had to roll out the red carpet for this one. Everybody know, especially when we got into that second half of the game, Betty, Business B, Money, Petty Betty. It was my absolute favorite character of BB10. And I'm so excited and so glad to welcome the infamous Betty to our podcast today.
Hi, everyone.
It's been a long weekend. A long weekend for me. I've been dealing with graduation stuff, supporting friends graduating. Like I was at the university campus from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. at night. So your boy is tired. Yes.
I know you're exhausted.
Yes.
I just have a random question. Betty, if you've never listened to our podcast before, I hope you now become you're an exclusive member of the podcast now. So you're gonna listen to it after this.
Right. You're
so you are gonna get how I work. I am the most random person you might ever meet. And I have a very random question for you. So last week on the podcast, I'm in Texas, Dallas, Texas to be exact. And gas prices have soared ridiculously. Like gas was like $3.80 and out of nowhere it jumped to $4.30. And it just blew my mind. And I spent 20 minutes talking about gas prices. And I was curious, how much is gas in Canada?
Well, it's different per province. I'm pretty sure right now in Edmonton it's like $1.30. So that's per liter. I know that it's per gallon.
$1 who?
Wait, you lying.
But that's per liter.
Per liter. So I think a gallon is like, is it 4 liters?
I don't even know, child. Don't get me.
We don't do math and science over here, baby.
I'm with me, social workers and therapists and nurses over here.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm right. So 1 gallon is approximately 4.5 liters. So gas where I am right now is like
about 4 something.
It's about $1.69 a liter.
A liter.
Okay. So that's still kind of high.
So it's probably equivalent to kind of what we're dealing with.
Yeah, probably.
In the US.
What is it over where you guys are? Like, where is it? What is it in Texas right now?
Texas is about $4.30 per gallon.
In Oklahoma,
Eric got the cheapest.
It's not that much cheaper. It's probably about $4.
Oklahoma gas is $3.98. I would love for my gas to be $3.
Out in the country, in the city, is 4 something.
And in the state of Washington, it's $5.50.
Now that's too high.
A gallon.
5. That's too high.
Oh man,
yeah.
We need to be walking. Is what we need to be doing.
Yeah,
that was so expensive. $5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we were curious. I was like, I wonder if it's the same, if you guys are experiencing the same thing in Canada. So it's good to know that we're not alone in the high gas prices. I'm always curious to know what's happening in other countries and other parts of the world as well.
Yeah, I'm always curious.
Speaking of like the other parts, have you ever been to the US?
Yes, I have family actually in Seattle, so I spent some of my summers in Seattle.
That's where
I am. I've been to like the big spots, so LA, New York, and I've spent some time in Houston actually as well.
Hey,
so,
okay.
A little bit here and there, but I wouldn't say that I've been all around the United States.
Okay.
Have you guys been traveling?
No, but it is on the bucket list. We're gonna do an A Who Are Gonna Be There podcast trip to Canada. It is definitely in the book because I have never been and I'm excited to go.
Yeah, come out west and then we'll link up.
Okay, that's a bet.
We'll hold you to it.
Right,
exactly. We're gonna be touching down.
All right.
But we're going to actually hop into these Big Brother life, Big Brother question, post Big Brother and Big Brother.
Sure.
What was going on in the Big Brother house. And I want to open it up just with a random question about Big Brother. When did you start watching Big Brother?
Yeah, so I was like pretty honest about like my journey and like watching it. So I started literally watching it. I saw season 9 fully. And then I also saw season 1 and season 2 of BBCAN. And I did watch some of the earlier seasons of BBUS. So like when I was a bit younger. So like back in the day with like Janelle, Kaser.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Like I
Cream
did.
Of the crop.
Exactly. I saw that. But other than then, like when I was in my like, 20s, I didn't watch much of it. I was too busy living. And then I saw season 9 of Canada, which had like so much diversity. And I was like, okay, obviously I can do this. So I decided to apply.
Wow.
Awesome.
Now, let me ask you, since we're talking about diversity, in the Big Brother game specifically, I'm just gonna go hit it at the park. Kevin played a great game. Let's not sugarcoat it. He really did. Sure. It was a lot of stuff that that didn't even get uncovered. Things I'm sure that production didn't even show us that Kevin was working and manipulating behind the scenes. He specifically, I know you said you've watched the whole season already. So I know you've seen those conversations that specifically that Kevin had with Marty. And I'm curious of your opinion on, he referenced the cookout to Marty quite frequently. And I think, in my opinion, of course, let's be real, if you have a bias, it's already in you. You know what I mean? And Kevin honestly just brought it out of Marty. I'm gonna be real with that. But it looks like Kevin, or sound looks like he shined a light onto that bias based off the history of the cookout in the US, which then painted a target on, the squad. We all know who the squad is, all the black people on the show. So how do you feel about that?
I mean, yeah, I think that it was obviously, I'm going to think of it as gameplay, but when you really think about it, obviously, as mentioned, there may have been some biases in place, which obviously had people, specifically that person, Marty's, gears grinding. So now when I look at it, do I think he may have used that to play into his favor? Obviously, I'm not stupid. Was it true? It wasn't. I wish it was. I wish that we did have like that type of bond where we were able to really take it far, like the cookout did. But I think that, yeah, Kevin did use that in his favor to get further in the game. And it did end up working because he was working with someone who is like very emotional in the game, more so than myself. And obviously that and ran with it. So to answer your question, yes. So
you mentioned that like you guys didn't have that bond like the cookout did. What do you think kept that bond from forming or being like just truly solid so you guys could, even if it wasn't an official alliance, to like, listen, no matter what, like we got each other?
Yeah, you know what? I think that's a really great question. Like for me, I did feel strongly towards Tanisha and Summer, and there was absolutely no way I was going to come for them, especially early on in the game. Like those were my girls. I think that when we think about the guys in the game, it was very much so like, yeah, we were bound by that, but there was so much more, such as like they were really seeing the game as like who's winning competitions, who's really showing value, who can really, add value to my game. And when they didn't see that in myself specifically, they were very quick to be like, ooh, well, you know what? Thank you, next. So I think that's kind of why it didn't actually go the way that we had intended. So, yeah.
So, Betty, I noticed that, what is it? You were on the block, 5 times?
Yeah, I was on the block 5 times.
So 5 times, like what? So in your mind, so while you were in the house, obviously you had a different impression as to why you were on the block that many times. And when you came back and watched the show, I'm sure you probably had a different impression or a different reasoning. Tell me a bit, can you take us through that? What it was when you were in the house? What were your thoughts as to why you were on the block? And when you came back and watched it, how did that differ, if it did?
So I really thought, thank you. I think that I really just thought like I was being targeted by one person in the house. So I really was and I was, when I rewatched the season, that was actually what was happening. But I didn't actually, after watching the season, I started to see like, yeah, I was being targeted by one specific person, but there was also things that were happening behind the scenes that was making me even more of a target. So like, for example, being blamed solely for the potential Gino flip in week 6. Yeah, I wasn't the one that like, yeah, of course I would have been down to do that. But then, of course, like now I see on the sides, there was obviously Helena and Kevin that were really, I was an easy target. So if they obviously didn't want to go against Josh. So what did they do? They threw me under the bus, which obviously added more fuel to, that person, Marty's fire. So he kept going off and off on it. So it was like a little bit of both, I guess, to answer your question. I knew that I was easy. I knew that this person obviously had something that they wanted me out of this game. Makes sense, I guess. But then on top of it, I didn't actually see all that behind the scenes work because it was so much easier to put this, like, to put shade on my name, to talk shit about me, you know what I mean? To do all that nasty stuff. And they just kept doing it. So then that person had more and more and more and more reason to come for me.
And like, speaking of like just being in the house and like you not being able to see all those behind the scenes things, and like you're just like, oh, this person's just coming for me. In terms of strategy, like I'm the casual of the group. Like I didn't watch feeds much because every time I turned on the feed, every time I turned on the feed, they were off. And what I wasn't gonna do was sit there for 30, 40 minutes.
They were off a lot.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I just got to watch the show. And so so I don't know if you talked about this on the feeds or not, like, did you have a strategy coming in? Because for me, like from my perspective as a casual, it seemed like, people were just targeting you because they felt like you didn't have any connections, or or were you intentionally like kind of like waiting to like see what was going on, or how did you go in there?
Yeah. So I actually went into the house and thought I could play an under the radar game. Like I thought that I could just kind of slide by, like not be a floater, but obviously I wanted to spend my time in the beginning meeting someone who later, like in hindsight, I thought I had found, but obviously not. Like I thought that I could meet someone that was like-minded, someone that I could really vibe with on a personal level. And then from there, I didn't want to be rolling around with too many people because I knew that whole entire, like that strategy of the game, I thought was fake. It was not what I wanted to do. I know it probably would have been better for me to be in a big alliance and be protected, but I just was like, nah, that's not for me. So I was really just trying to find one or two other folks that I could gel with, that, me and them could just ride it out together and then really just like take it to the end. So that obviously changed immediately in week 2 because I just kept getting targeted. So instead of using that strategy, I basically just had to fight for my life every single week. So it was, my strategy shifted from playing an under the radar, be tight with a few people, to, okay, fight. You've got a campaign. You've got to make sure that you're showing value to folks. This was a very much so like guys game, like in the sense that everyone was like, we got to ride it out, comp beast, let's go every day. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not that person. So I'm going to need to show these people value in a unique way. So it was making sure that I was like, okay, I can't offer you a week of safety, but I can, maybe go on the block for you next week, or maybe I can vote your way next week if you keep me safe. Like, do you know what I mean? It was always kind of thinking on my toes and always making sure I was very clear that no matter what happens, I'm coming for Marty. That's never going to change. You guys need to know I'm being honest. This is the person that I want out of this game. There was absolutely no, screwing around with that. And I think people respected that honesty, to be honest.
And speaking of like your honesty, like I don't think I've ever seen a player so honest, like straight up to your face. When Kevin was like, "Could you just pretend to hate me?" She's like, "Oh, I don't have to pretend. I do hate you." Or like,
I love that.
Me in this game, don't say anything to me, don't speak to me. And I was like, "Who is this
woman?"
Like,
he's like, "Yeah, keep it up. Say you hate me. I do hate you."
So your amount of honesty, like of that caliber, I've never. So
refreshing.
Seen. Yes,
Thank
and so
you.
It makes me think too, like, where did you get your profound sense of loyalty? Because you show the amount of loyalty that you had just in general, and like the way you expressed it, I'm just like, I'm in awe. So where did this profound sense of loyalty come from?
Yeah, thank you. I've always just been a really loyal person. Like, I don't rock with you if I don't see value in you. Like, I'm not going to lie to your face. I'm not going to play into whatever narrative you want me to play into. That's just who I am, like, to my core. So I knew going into the house, like, why would I change that about myself? If I was going to win this game, you better believe that I was going to win it for who I was. And that's just who I am at the end of the day. Like, don't tell me how to be around you. Like, that's not how this game's going to go. Like, that's your game, not mine. So, I guess to answer your question, like, I've always just been a very direct person. I've always been someone who's like, I don't need to lie. I don't need to, like, you know what I mean? Especially beat around the bush for you and to help you. Like, that's not me.
Right.
So I think I kind of got that just like through my family, my friends, my upbringing. It was just kind of who I was. And that's kind of why you kind of saw the tail end of that when I was having my conversations with Kev.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you, probably one of the top moments of this season for me is you doing the 100 minutes POV and winning, only being 42 seconds over. 42 seconds. I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't even know if anybody's ever even been that close. But you screaming to tell Marty, I'm not going nowhere. You can't get rid of me. Please put me back in that moment, because the way I screamed when I watched that, I was like, yeah, I thought I was like right there with you. Like the amount of emotion, I was like, yes,
because it was so much. You saved the season for us, so
it was like a light switch went off, and it was like, oh my god, finally!
Yeah, thanks so much. Seriously, that was like, if you remember the episode before, that was Mount HOH, or maybe it was the same. I can't remember, but that was the one where like,
you and Marty.
Yeah, it was
4 hours, girl.
Exactly. So that was the day, like right before that competition, he was like, I'm coming for you. And I was like, are you kidding me right now?
Again?
Yeah. He's like, there aren't a lot of people in the house right now, even though there were 8. But he's like, I need to come for you. And I was like, okay. So I was like, I got to win this. Obviously, I don't end up winning. And then I'm like, I'm not going to campaign to this guy. Like, again, like, it's like basically there's no reason. Every time I talk to him,
it's a waste.
It's a waste of time. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, I got to take that energy and I've got to bring it into the next veto, because if I don't, my game's done. So I literally just channeled that. And like, that was the one where we could hear from our loved ones in the intercom. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, this has got to go. So I was just counting like with my finger. And every time I got to 10 minutes, I was like, 10, do. And then I did 20. And then I just kept going. And then, you know, like I felt like I had it. I didn't know I was that close, but yeah, it was basically, that was another example of being like, I have absolutely no other option. If I don't win, I'm going out of this game. So it was time for me to fight as hard as I could. And yeah, it ended up working out in my favor.
We love that moment so much.
Because look, you have to realize that was a time when like nobody in the squad, we always gonna call y'all the squad, nobody in the squad was winning. So we was like, what are y'all doing? I need y'all to win a comp. What is going on? And when you won that, oh my gosh, Twitter like threw a fit that night. I wish I could have recorded. You were trending. I loved it. Oh my gosh, the excitement.
So
thank you.
And when it was trending, it was split like on Twitter. Like, of course, we were rejoicing, child. We were like, yes, da.
Yep.
And then some people came across and were like, oh no, that's not good sportsmanship.
You know who them some people is.
Say to those who said that it was not good sportsmanship when you were rejoicing, your life was on the line and you won and you were excited. What do you have to say? This is the opportunity to say something about that.
Well, you know, haters are always going to hate. So obviously we always got to give them a show. And that's what I did. So thank you. Thank you for allowing me to trend on Twitter, boo.
Period.
Oh my gosh. I love that. Let me tell you this. These are the same people. When Helena won that tooth, whatever it was, veto comp, and she kicked it and punched it and was all aggressive, wasn't nobody saying nothing then.
And then I'm pretty sure she had also said something like, look, Herman, I matter now. And I was like, really?
And you know what? Look, let me ask this. While we on the topic of Helena, I want to ask you, who, besides Marty, we all don't know about like Marty. Let's be real. Besides Marty, who in the house do you hate the most, and why is it Helena?
Isn't it Helena?
No, I'm just playing.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, no. that was for me. That was for me. But besides Marty, who? That question was just for me because that's a whole nother tangent that I'll go on. Me and Helena, we don't click here in real life. We've never met, but you know. But I know you watch the show and you saw her intro package. And she specifically said that she grew up wanting to be white. And that has gone on over social media for a very long time. That is one thing that has been stuck in our minds. Do you think her loyalty in the house was had anything to do with how she treated everybody that she was trying to work with in the house?
Honestly, it's hard for me to speak on that. Like, I think that she basically, I obviously wanted to work with her in the beginning, and we came up with Mandems. And like a big reason that we came up with Mandems was because we wanted to see a woman, and particularly a woman of color, make it to the top. So when it was really quick for her to vote out Tanisha, that hurt me. Like, and it was obvious in the episodes too. Like, I couldn't even lie. I was like, bro, that crushed me. Like, you know, if we were going to be close, like on a game level, and you didn't feel like you could trust Tanisha, then why didn't you just tell me? Like, why did that have to be such a blindside? So that one was really deep for me. So from that moment on, I was like, you know what? To me, it was much greater. Like, for me to be playing this game, especially with people that were like me, like, and look like me, it was so much more for like a greater cause. Like, I was there. So when that happened, I was like, bro, I don't know how me and you could ever work together. And we never ended up working together. So it was crazy. I think that maybe their loyalty was just to Kev at the end of the day. Was it race? Maybe not. You know what? I can just have her speak to it at the end of the day.
It just came down to, especially specifically that week with Tanisha, like it did nothing to her game to get rid of Tanisha. That was the big thing that we just couldn't grasp. Like, Tanisha is helping you in the game. You're in an alliance with her. What are you doing? Like, so that's where Helena lost it with a lot of people. She specifically lost it with me. But anyways, go ahead, Eric.
Go ahead, Eric.
Okay. What were you gonna say? Go ahead, Kiki.
No, really, I was gonna kind of go back into the loyalty thing, because you obviously were very loyal to Josh. I mean, the house was loyal to Josh. Let's not get it twisted. And protected him so many times, right? And so I think I'm probably taking your question, Therese. But
you took mine too. That's what I was getting ready to ask.
This Josh
one band, one sound.
Yes. So what happened? Obviously you got snaked by him once during the triple, right? So you're bounced back from that. Like, how were you able to put things to the side and say, okay, yep, we're about to be working together again, child. Let's ride this out to final two. How were you able to shift that quickly? If you could take us through your mindset through that time, especially from that triple until the end game.
Yeah, no, what had happened, like, after Josh put me up on the triple, I was like, oh, okay, like, obviously there's something going on with this guy that's much deeper than, like, like, there's something fishy going on. By the grace of God, I was able to win HOH that following, like, basically that same day. So I was like, okay, well, now I can actually think straight. So I ended up putting him on the block. Like, it wasn't even a question in my mind whether or not I was going to put him up, because this guy was not being loyal to me. Then he decides to basically talk to me. He lies to me again, tells me, like, I did it because of, he basically told me he felt indebted to both Helena and Kev because they, the veto, whatever. So then I was like, okay. After my Wendy's date with Kev, I was like, something is just off, man. Like, this guy's just trying to yap in my ear. He's trying to tell me, oh, I was working with Josh this whole time. Now I want to get Josh out. Like, you know what? This is how I think we should do it. He pitches an alliance to me. I'm like, it's Final Five. Like, how are you pitching an alliance to me right now? Like, it didn't make sense. So then later, something you guys don't see is, like, obviously I had to put my noms up that day. So I won HOH, go to sleep. You put them on that day. So I didn't really have too much time to really figure out, like, exactly who was going to go up next to Josh. I just knew Josh was definitely going up. But after my combo with Wendy's with Kev, I was like, this guy's doing some real serious heavy work, and, like, you know what? It's offsetting. So once I was able to really figure that out in my head, I ended up immediately talking to Josh. So that was that moment where I'm coming down the stairs and asking him if he wants to have coffee. So then we're going to the room and we're just chatting, and I'm letting him know, like, Kev is the mastermind behind all of this. Like, you are being played. You are a puppeteer, and you need to basically get your head into the game. This guy's using you. Like, he's ready to get you out of this game. Like, I basically just had to let him know what I had just figured out. I told him, like, if I had my time back, it would be you up next to Kevin, because this guy's out here and he was doing the most. Like, he was like, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, why are you doing this?
Talking too much. That's what got me in trouble.
Way too much. And he was like, trying to be loyal to me, and it was just too late. So when I finally was able to piece that up and tell Josh, he literally bought it, and he was like, you know what, you're right. This guy's been playing me. I need to get out of this. And I was like, okay, like I'm extending a freaking olive branch to you. Like, let's do this. Like you are played, you're going up on the block right now. They have the freaking power to get you out. So you got to go in overtime, figure out how you're going to get yourself off. And if you can do that, then yeah, I'll rock with you again. But you cannot be rolling with this guy. Like I felt like he was even like, when he saw us getting close, he was like, had like little demon eyes and stuff. Like he crazy. And you know, I thought I had Josh on my side. Like I was like, this guy.
We all thought.
Girl, listen, because I was through when he put you. I was like, hold on, he put Betty on the block. I was like, and then you put him. I was like, good, as you should. Throw his behind up there because he needs to go for betraying you. And then y'all rekindle. I was like, I will see. And then
I was screaming at TV. I was like, Betty, I was like, Betty, don't do it. I was like, don't do it. Put him up. Send him out. I was screaming. I was like, no, I don't trust Josh.
And
I don't know what it is, man.
We had a whole
and then we're like,
episode, and
we had a whole argument.
And they were like, no, Josh, they're cool now. Josh isn't going to do. I said, when somebody shows you who they are, you need to believe them. You cannot believe people's words.
And believe them.
We argued about it. We really did.
But okay, so and we didn't believe his words, but his actions. So when he won the Final Four, he lied, said he was gonna throw Final Four HOH to them. He won. It was like, okay, cool. Then he put you. I was pissed off that he put you up, and they were like, well, another of our member, Reese, she was like, oh no, Betty agreed to go. I said, I don't care. I don't care if she agreed to go in there. I
wouldn't exactly what I said.
It don't matter. We're trying to repair this relationship.
Yeah,
he could have gave me $100,000 right there. And then he won the veto. I was like, "Oh my God, is this man going? He ain't gonna do it. He ain't gonna do it."
Baby, we were on pins and needles,
and so we're like, "Okay."
And then he did, and I was like, "Okay, we're cool." Like he literally sent one of his like alliance members home, and I was like, "Okay, they're like now we're solid." And we did talk a lot about like representing the season. Like, how do we want to be represented? Do we want an Indigenous winner? Do we want a Black woman next to it? Like, we had those conversations. So that's why I felt like he would never, like, how are you going to talk to me like that? We're like,
we saw those conversations. That's what hurt us so. I was like, how could you have these conversations and then just be like, sorry, Betty, you got to go.
No, because when he was doing his little speech, and I was like, okay, because he won. Okay, so I don't know if you knew about the spoilers. Like, we got some spoilers for the season from that man. He knows who he is. But then we got some more, like about the finale. And so the finale thing basically said you won, and we were like, hey, Betty won. And so
Twitter was rejoicing an hour before the finale because the spoiler said that you won. Like, we was, oh my God, we were dancing, jumping for joy.
Exactly. And so then we see Kevin win part one. We like,
we like, hold on.
And then, and then Josh won part 2. Was like, okay. Then he wins part 3. We're like, okay, cool. We still, because the spoiler said you and Josh were in the final 2 and you won. So we're like, cool. Josh won. He taking Betty.
Definitely taking Betty.
I tweeted. I was like, we got 2 Black people in the finale, back-to-back seasons. Like, we up. This is cool. And then he starts talking. So, this person has been my friend throughout the entire game, and I just don't think. I was like, hold on, why I sound like you got the big baby?
The way your faces dropped, I was like, huh?
And then he evicts you. I said, did I hear that? You said it. You like, Josh, seriously? I was like, did I hear that right too? Like,
that was the biggest shocker of the season for me, bro.
It was brutal, even for me. Like, I'm sure it was seen all over my face. I actually haven't even seen the last episode yet because it's just a little too like.
It's
you know, like
close.
My reaction, it was too deep. It was like, bro,
it really was.
Friends, why wouldn't you just tell me? Like, he's like, I found out a couple of days before that I wasn't going to take you. Well, if we're friends,
you could have told me a couple of days ago.
Yeah, you could have just said, hey, you know what? I feel like I have a better path this way. And knowing me, I would have said, you know what? I probably would have pitched a bit, but I would have been like, you know what? If that's what you think, like, you know, I really do care for you as a human being and as a person. But you had to blindside me, like.
We literally spoke about that on the last pod. It was like, okay, at this point, we know Betty. We know how Betty works. Betty, at the end of the day, she's going to respect the game move. But you go behind her back and you don't tell her, you've already have these alliances created, and in Betty's mind, you know, y'all are loyal to each other. Y'all rekindle your relationship and you get back on the right track. You use the veto on her.
Hello?
You use the veto on her. That right there, he could have just not used it. And it would have been a whole different story. But the fact that you created this whole concept of We've got to get to the final two. You know, one of us have to win to make history. And then to not tell, he could have just easily said, look, Betty, I love you. You're my friend in the game, but I don't think I can beat you in the end. Like, I think I have a better chance. And of course, I said Betty would have gave her pitch, but she would have understood, you know, as a game move. And in the final, it looked like a personal move to us because, you know, it hurt so bad. I thought it was me.
I was crushed.
He
about crying for you, girl. Because I just couldn't believe it.
When we were watching it, as we watch the season, we bring it up and say, okay, if Betty is next to this person at the end, she's gonna win. If she's next to this person at the end, she's gonna win, right? And so we already had said that if Josh is next to Kevin, Kevin's going to win.
Yep.
And so I want to ask you, Betty. So when he made this decision, who did you think was going to win following that decision with Kevin and Josh being on the block?
I thought it was going to be Josh, but you know what? Because I'm in the house, right? Like I was.
That's good.
Everybody missed it.
I left with I left the same day that Josh and Kevin got let out as well, right? So in my mind, I was under the impression that the jury was really going to be like comps. You know what I mean? I didn't necessarily know how bitter they were going to be because I had also been like, you know, I'm not going to say a victim, but like I was also in the same boat as all of them. Josh was promising me everything up and down and, you know, even hitting me where close to my heart where it comes to like representation and all of that. So it was like he did all of that to everybody else too. You know what I mean? Yep. So it's like, I didn't see that. I just thought it was going to be like, who's the better player?
I'm so glad you gave us that perspective because obviously we're looking at it and we're watching live feeds and we're seeing all the sidebar conversations. And so I love getting your perspective of, you know, reminding us that, hey, we're in this bubble. So we only seeing a part of what it is that you guys are seeing. Yeah.
Totally.
And I'm curious. So I have been watching a couple of y'all Instagram lives, you know, postseason. And I know specifically Moose and Herman mentioned that they think if the vote had came down to you and Josh, that it would have been a split vote.
Yeah.
With Canada breaking the tie. What I'm curious about is, did BB Canada give y'all that ranking? Like 1, 2, and 3 for you, Kevin, and Josh, or they don't give y'all that, huh?
So you guys don't know who Canada voted for?
No, we wouldn't have never known. And honestly, I think if Josh would have taken me, people say that it would have been a split, but I doubt Helena or Kevin would have voted in my favor just based on the relationship that they had with Josh. So I think that it would have really been probably in Josh's favor. I might be wrong, but I really think that he would have won, maybe not by a landslide, but by at least 1 or 2 votes.
Well, I just know Twitter, once again, was trending high. And baby, we were pulling those votes for you. I don't know. I just feel like regardless of whoever you were sitting next to, I think you would at least have Canada's vote. Because we were on there. I was over here illegally in America with my VPN, like Betty.
Listen, one lady did like 14 hours worth of, like, she stayed up 14 hours and sent in 5,000 votes for you on Twitter. I don't know her name, but yeah.
That is so nice.
Yes,
I really appreciate that.
So you our winner. I'm gonna just say
that. And you are a lot of people's favorite. And so now that you're out of the house, do you feel the love?
I do. Like, I had no idea because, like, you know, I was locked up in there for like 69 days. So I don't really know what's going on. I just know that, you know, sometimes I say things. I'm really authentic. Like, I'm running my mouth. Like, I didn't know how that was going to be perceived by, you know, like the BBCAN fans, but I was so pleasantly surprised. Like, people are so kind and so nice, telling me, you know, it's been a breath of fresh air to have somebody so real. And I was like, are you serious? I didn't think you guys were gonna like that, because everybody's like in that house, like, I want to be a star, or like, do you know what I mean? And I was like, I need to win.
I'm just gonna be me.
Exactly. You here for the money.
Yeah, like
right at the end of the day, it's the check.
I was trying to win or get something, you know. I was like, some of the conversations, people are like, how many Instagram followers do you have? I'm like, I don't know, like 500 on a private account.
It's the real that we love. The you being real is where the breath of fresh air, you were a breath of fresh air by being your authentic self, your authentic, loyal self. You know what I mean? I am curious to know, now that you're out of the house, have you adjusted to being outside of the Big Brother house yet?
Yeah, like, you know what, in my regular life, I spend a lot of time at home. Like, you know, that's kind of what I've been doing, like going for walks here and there. I'm fortunate enough that I have the ability to work from my home too. So I've just been, you know, vibing, chilling, making food, you know, not doing anything too much. I try to stay off the social media a lot too, because I'm like, it's just wild, like in there, you know? So I've just been trying to keep introverted, work, and like catch up on all my TV shows, obviously.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so you brought up work, and in your intro package, you talked a lot about working with at-risk youth. Are you still working with at-risk youth?
Yes, I still work with at-risk youth. Basically, I manage the HR department. So all of the employees, the frontline workers, all that good stuff. I kind of just take a back seat, and then I obviously still do that. So yeah, it's really rewarding.
That's great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, we took that to heart. We're like, oh my God, because I'm a social worker. Eric works in therapy, and Teresa's working toward nursing. So it's all into the social services thing. So that you really,
I guess we like
touched
people.
our heart.
Yeah, we like them a little bit.
I guess.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love that. Love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
go ahead, Eric.
No, go ahead, Eric.
I was gonna say, so with like coming back and adjusting and going back to work, do you have any other like post Big Brother aspirations in terms of your career or reality TV?
You know what? Like, I think right now I'm just gonna take it easy. Like, it was obviously being cut in third is like the worst. Like, obviously, you know, it would have been better to maybe be cut in fourth. Like, I don't know, but so I just want to take some time, you know, figure out, like, it's summer in Canada where I'm from, so like chill out a little bit, spend some time with my family. I kind of want to get back. Like, I think it would be cool to do if like All Stars ever called, I would probably think about it. Please. I would also, I was like, maybe I'll do that. I also think it might be cool to do Amazing Race. Like, I don't know. I've just been thinking about it.
Who off the show would you, if you had to pull a member from the cast of BB10, who would your Amazing Race partner be?
Tanisha, obviously. Like, that's not even a question. She could keep it calm, but at the same time, she would just be putting that work. You know what I mean?
You know what? I didn't even think about that. That'd be actually a great pairing.
Yes, I would definitely call up Tanisha if it was anybody from the season, for sure.
That'd be awesome. Okay, look, let me ask you this. So say we're in a different multiverse, right? And you know all the information that you have now. Who would you be working with in the game, knowing the information that you know now?
Good question. Probably, I don't know. Like, I look back and I think, I know it sounds odd, but maybe Moose, just because like, I know that Moose left early, but like in the episode, I was really like advocating, like, you know, I didn't really know where, like, I wanted to keep Summer in the game, obviously, but like Moose has such a great pitch. So like, I think now when I look back, maybe I would have worked a little bit closer with Moose, just because that would have been real interesting to see. And they were definitely like somebody who was like really good with like different sides of the house. Maybe I think I may work with Moose. I might have worked with Gino. Like, I don't know, just because of the loyalty aspect. But then he was also in the Showman. So like, you know, I don't know. But
when you
go ahead, Eric.
Okay, when you mentioned Moose, it put me in mind of the finale night because they kind of upset me when you walked out the house and they were like cheering that you got evicted and you were like settled. I was like, yeah, let them know, Betty, because like, what was that all about? Like, was it because they were? Because I was like, I don't know.
I know, it was so disrespectful, and like I literally just got cut. So when I was coming out, I wasn't expecting them to be cheering. Yeah. And obviously, I'm not in the right headspace to be like, you know. So I basically told him to sit the F down because I just had no time for that. He later apologized about it, but it was just still left it left a not a good taste in my mouth. So,
it left a bit of taste in everybody's mouth.
Yeah, it was just like, are you cheering for everyone like that? Like, you literally left. Like, you left so long ago, it doesn't even matter anymore. It's irrelevant.
Right.
Like,
right.
But all good.
Oh, that's so funny.
I have a specific question about Gino and JCPenney. Yeah, we call it JCPenney. In the house. So based off what we saw, even on the feeds, you know, of course, BB Canada is great to cut feeds repeatedly, but it looks like JC, Lynn, and Gino were in a bubble. So once Gino left the house, JC Lynn, she was on an island. Like did she ever actually even really sit and make those connections with people? Like we even saw her like when she was trying to have conversations with the girls, it just seemed so awkward and forced. Yeah. And I was wondering, like, were y'all picking up on that?
Definitely. The energy was off a bit. And I think that is because when you spend so much of your time with just one single person and then they leave, then you basically have to recalibrate your game entirely. So yeah, it was awkward. And it's only because I think that she just played a game that was so intertwined with Gino, so that it was tough for her to have conversations. And it was ultimately tough for her to even be on my good side in terms of when I won HOH. Like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, why didn't you try to end up working with her? And it was like, well, first of all, it's day 55.
Exactly.
And how am I supposed to trust you when I don't even know what you've been doing the last 55
years. Like, I don't even know you.
Yeah. We talked about that on the pod. Like, of course, it would have just made, because we know information that you don't know, obviously, watching the show, it would just make sense for you to work with JC Lynn toward the end of the game. But I'm saying, like, okay, if I'm in Betty's situation and in her position, JC Lynn been running around doing God knows what with Gino. And then on day 58, she like, oh, yeah, let me just try to play the game. Like, that's not how that works, sis. Like, we've been playing since day one. Where have you been? You know?
Facts. That's exactly what it was for me. It was just like, not right now. Thank you.
Right. So let me ask, since we're on the topic of JC Lynn, I'm curious. Have you seen JC Lynn's previous tweets that have been brought out? You know, she brought up the Negroes being in the picture behind her. She said some derogatory things about the LGBTQ plus community. I'm just curious if you've seen those tweets and how you feel about them.
Yeah, I did see those tweets, actually. People have been tagging me in them. So I was like, ooh. So I'm not really entirely sure why, you know, she hasn't taken the time to maybe issue an apology just based on how many followers that she has.
All right.
But if that's something that she doesn't feel that she needs to apologize for, then I think that's something that she probably needs to, you know, figure out. But other than that, it's like everywhere. So I'm a little.
That's what I'm saying. Like, everybody sees this. Like, if you're gonna put out an apology, put it out. But if she wants to skate over it, then her fans are gonna be her fans, and we all know what lane they stay in for that.
Definitely. But, so it would be nice to see something, but I don't know. At this point, it's like, are we going to? Who knows?
Probably not.
So I think we have two more questions before we wrap this show. And one of the questions I wanted to ask is, so you mentioned that you would do, if you had the opportunity to do Amazing Race, you would do it with Tanisha. Who are you the closest with outside of the house? Is it also Tanisha?
Yeah, like I'm not really close with many people in that house because, well, you know, but I would say like I'm the closest for sure. Like I talked to Tanisha and Summer still, like for sure. Those are my girls. You know what? I would say that I'm okay with, like, I've had a little conversations with Herman, but the most part, I would say I'm the closest with Tanisha and Summer. That's for sure.
Okay.
So is Josh completely off your radar? Are you as done with him as I am?
Look.
Yes.
I don't know this person.
I'm sorry. I'm so done with Josh.
I met him in the game, and that's exactly where he'll always be, is in the game.
Bam. Easy. Like that.
Yeah.
I respect it.
Definitely.
I respect it too, child.
Josh, I'm still mad at you. I'm still mad at you.
No, because listen, because
the whole time I screamed at him for an hour. I'm not gonna even lie.
Yes, the whole time, because I'm like, because we knew what we were getting up to the moment to talk about who was crowned winner and all that stuff, and I was just like, after all this forgiving, after all this, you know, jumping off the Josh train and back on it when he saved you, that was the only thing that put him back in our good graces in the first place, was him saving you with the veto. And so for you to turn back around and with that same thing and just stab her in the back. And it's just slit her throat, not even in the back, just slit your throat and put the knife in your back. I know it's a game, and everyone's like, well, it's a game, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's a game, but you are real people. You have real emotions and real feelings. And to have this bond that you were supposed to have with him, like you say he was gonna be your best person at the wedding. Like, how do you in good conscience not
exactly?
Oh, I just can't.
Just like, to me, it is a game, and I can get over that aspect of it. It just got a little too deep at the end. So for that, it's like, I wish you nothing but the best, but like as far away from me as possible.
Keep it moving and keep it pushing.
Just like that.
And so Betty, just Oh, go ahead.
I just want to bring up one more thing because I put it in my notes and I want to make sure I mention this. Who was running your Twitter while you were in the house?
My partner, my boyfriend Ian was
doing Ian, right?
Yeah. He was like doing the best job I saw.
He did so good.
Ian was amazing.
Has been one of the best people. Give him a shout out for us specifically.
Okay, shout out Ian for running Ian. Account.
What's up?
The way that it was just so funny to me is that he was tweeting like he was you, and that's what made it funny. Yeah, I won the veto. Yeah, so what? And you say y'all got a problem with it? I'm like, yes, Ian. I feel like we know him.
I love him because everybody I don't know if it would have been as popular if someone wasn't behind the scenes. So I'm feeling really grateful that he was able to do that.
Yeah. And I don't think I've ever seen anybody's person who runs the account to tweet in first person like that, as if they were them. And so I thought that was super unique, and we loved it. It was very personable. Yeah, he's amazing.
Love it. Thank you guys so much.
Yes. And so finally, if you have to give advice to someone who is interested in trying out to be on Big Brother, what would you tell them?
You know what? I think that if someone had approached me and they wanted advice, I would just let them know, you're about to get into a wild experience. Number one, do not discredit anyone. It doesn't matter if they're not competing, if they're not we're at that level that you expect them to be as a player. Don't count anyone out. Second, always trust your gut, whatever that may be. If you're getting a bad sense or there's something that you think is a little off, go follow it, because 99% of the time it's true. And three, I think have fun. It sucks. Sometimes you get backstabbed, whatever happens, but it is a lot of fun at the end of the day. And I'm so grateful that I had to have fun doing it. Sorry. I got to have fun doing it with some random ass folks. And it was actually a lot of fun. So those are the three things I would say.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you, audience, for tuning in to A Who All Gonna Be Their podcast, a place where you get to be an exclusive member of our very entertaining group chat. Until next time, bye.
Bye. Thanks, Betty.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Betty. Thank you so much.